Welcome to The Explainer. We are diving headfirst into what feels like a tectonic shift in the global markets. We're going to look at three things: the huge debates happening on Wall Street, a frantic code red in the AI arms race, and a brand new geopolitical playbook that's changing all the rules. And let's just start with this little bit of poetry from Academy Securities, because it just perfectly captures the mood, right? On the surface, it feels like we're getting a nice little holiday rally. But just underneath all that, you can feel the tension. Something is brewing.
So to really get what's going on, we first have to understand the two fundamental questions that have Wall Street's top minds basically split right down the middle. Okay, here's the first big split. You got Morgan Stanley on one side saying the AI investment boom is this unstoppable train. It doesn't care about economic cycles. But their clients are pushing back with some really smart questions. Like, hey, if it's so unstoppable, why aren't you forecasting even more growth? And maybe more importantly, who's going to pay for all this? Can the bond market really soak up all this new debt without sending borrowing costs skyrocketing?
Now, the second great debate is all about the central banks. Morgan Stanley thinks the path is pretty clear. Rate cuts are coming. But their clients? Well, the note says their views are, and I quote, all over the place. Everyone seems to agree the yield curve is going to steepen, but they are fighting tooth and nail over why. Is it a bull steepening because the economy is booming, or is it a bear steepening for reasons that are, well, a lot less optimistic?
So while Wall Street is busy debating all of these known variables, there's a much more primal, almost existential fight happening just beneath the surface.
And that brings us to the undercurrent that honestly could change everything. A full-blown code red in the race for AI dominance.
You have to understand, this is not just normal business competition. It's a full-on panic cycle. I mean, 3 years ago, ChatGPT came out and Google hit its own red button, basically reorganizing the entire company for war. Well, now the tables have completely turned. Google's Gemini 3 is reportedly surging ahead, and now it's OpenAI hitting their code red, scrambling, and fighting for its life against these massive tech monopolies.
And this quote from Eric Peters at One River just nails it. This is something totally new. We are watching the richest companies on the planet pour unbelievable amounts of money and talent into a race that has no finish line, no rules, and absolutely zero guarantees about what comes out on the other side. No guardrails, no airbags.
And this insane high-stakes race isn't happening in a vacuum. It's actually the central battlefield in a much larger strategic game that's being played out on the world stage, a game defined by a new, really hard-nosed American strategy. A new U.S. national security strategy document just came out, and it lays out America's interests with, frankly, chilling clarity. Strategists are telling everyone, just read it and take it at its word. There are no hidden meanings here.
The playbook starts right here at home. Priority number one is locking down the Western Hemisphere, not just against cartels, but against any hostile foreign influence that can mess with America's strategic assets and supply chains. It's basically a 21st century version of the Monroe Doctrine.
Next, the focus shifts to the global economy. And the strategy is really two-sided. On one hand, build a defensive wall around the American economy. On the other, make sure the Indo-Pacific, which is pretty much the world's commercial superhighway, stays free and open for business.
And here's the key part for us. This is where the money is going to flow. The strategy explicitly says the U.S. needs to dominate the new battlegrounds of power. Think deep sea, outer space, and, most critically, all those technologies like AI that are going to define the future of everything from war to economic growth.
So, all of this, the AI race, the geopolitical shifts, it all brings us right back to the one question that has the markets holding their breath this week: what is the Federal Reserve going to do with interest rates?
Well, despite all that long-term crazy uncertainty, the short-term view is crystal clear. The market has completely priced in a rate cut. We're talking a 95% probability. It feels like the Fed is completely cornered. They almost have to deliver what everyone is expecting.
And to add another wrinkle to all this, one strategist, Peter Cheer, describes Fed Chair Powell as close to a lame duck chair as we've seen. Now, the implication there is huge. It means the market might not even be listening to him anymore because it's already looking past him, anticipating a totally different policy world on the horizon.
And that new world could look very, very different. The serious thinking here is that markets might be underestimating just how much coordination we could see between the Treasury, the Fed, and the administration. We could see some really out-of-the-box tools, and maybe even a stated goal of achieving 3-3-3, a perfectly managed world of 3% growth and 3% yields.
Okay, so let's pull all of these threads together. What's the real takeaway from this incredibly complex picture? With a rate cut all but guaranteed and that holiday cheer in the air, what is the one thing we absolutely need to remember?
Here it is, the bottom line. A nice holiday rally does not make the real problems just disappear. As you can see from this list, all the fundamental risks, from crazy tech valuations and energy grid problems to fragile supply chains, they are all still there, just lurking right beneath the surface, waiting for their moment.
And that leaves us with the ultimate question for the year ahead, doesn't it? Is this rally we're seeing built on solid ground? Or is it just a nice, festive distraction, pleasant music playing before the real challenges of this new era finally make themselves known? Thank you for joining this explainer.